Welcome to Embracing Continuous Behaviour Change for Anger Management, the podcast that helps you to calm your emotions and communicate effectively. I'm your host, Clare, the Anger Management Coach. In this podcast, I'll bring you expert interviews, inspiring stories, and practical advice on calming your emotions and living a more peaceful and fulfilling life. So sit back, relax, and get ready to master your emotions. Okay, so good morning. It's foggy where I am.
Where are you?
I'm in Wigan.
Oh, I'm in Rossendale.
Oh, you're not that far then. Is
No,
it foggy where you are?
very foggy where I am.
Oh,
We should have a
yeah,
rendezvous.
we should. Yeah, we could have done this in a nice coffee shop
We could have
somewhere
done
or
actually, couldn't we? Yeah, next
yeah.
time. Next time.
Absolutely. So, good morning to our listeners. As you can hear, we have another guest for you this morning. We have I nearly said your name then without saying the lovely. We have the lovely Lucy Waide with us this morning. Lucy, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me on. Been looking forward to this one.
Brilliant. Do you know, that's what I like because I just like it to be just chilled out and relaxed we've had a quick chat before we've pressed record, and for it to just be everyday people
Yeah,
coming in and talking about what's gone on in life, because our listeners are everyday people
yeah,
who are going through things in life or have been. And so for me, it's about just it being relaxed and chilled and just a talk
yeah.
where
That's
a
when it's real, isn't it?
conversation. Absolutely. So, I think, did I put it out on, be a guest or 'cause and I'm gonna put this out very, very early on, we are both in a book collaboration together,
Yeah.
aren't we?
Yes, we
So,
are. I'm very excited.
yeah, so that's it actually in a month, and I can't remember if I actually put it on the book collaboration that if anyone wanted to come on a podcast, it might have been there.
I think you did, but also Mel
Ah, yes.
linked us in a message and said, but yeah, I think I saw it in there. But yeah, we're a member of all sorts of things now, aren't we? But it's very
Yeah,
exciting, this book collaboration.
absolutely. Look at us
Yeah.
2 authors.
I know. Well, I wrote a book about 20 years ago, about being a teacher, a bit anecdotal, a bit tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
But I haven't written anything since, so it's very exciting to do it with
yeah,
other people. A lot
absolutely.
easier.
It's
A
my
lot easier.
first one, so and I remember. So you're right, it was Mel that put us, that connected us, and I remember, and I've written it down, your email response back was, "It's been a very tumultuous few years after a rather lengthy, tumultuous decade." And then you ended it, "I'm just on my 3rd comeback."
Yep.
And you sniggered when you said that, and I read it as a snigger, as in that she's saying that so lightheartedly.
Yeah.
But even writing the word tumultuous, you know that that hasn't been lighthearted, and you know that hasn't been easy.
No, no, not at all. And there's been so I what I like to do now is I very much like to use the negatives and turn them
Mm.
into positives. And I've found that I'm quite naturally doing that anyway. Like I
Yeah.
say, I wrote a book 20 years ago,
Mhm.
when I was a teacher. I was an English teacher in a very big school, and I was being bullied as a teacher,
Wow.
by staff. So, and it was like, nobody tells you this. Nobody tells you this.
No.
Teachers are the holy grail. Teachers are the moral high ground. Teachers know everything, and teachers people. And some
Yes.
people are horrible. So I wrote a book off the back of that when I was feeling very down and very disappointed, and questioning my judgment in people, and like my understanding of the world, basically.
Yeah.
So I wrote a book off it. So I've been doing that kind of positive response sort of automatically, but
Yeah.
I've recognized very recently that I now need to really work hard at that quite
Oh,
quickly. Not have it get so dark so long. And I need to inject the positivity a lot earlier than I was doing.
yeah.
Um
But that's really good that you can see that, because I mean, I don't know if that's from a place of depression, but I suffer with depression, and having gone through a really bad stage of depression, I, previously when I wouldn't even open the curtains.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And, I was, I lived in a village and there was a village shop, but if I wanted milk, I would get in my car and drive to the nearest big Tesco and buy my milk from there rather than just walk through the village to get the milk.
Yeah. Because people who know you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting what you said is that now when you can kind of see that you need to put those positives in place, you're able to do it quicker.
Yeah. So I mean, well, when was it? 2016. I'd I have endometriosis, and I did have adenomyosis, and that meant I had lost my teaching career in 2013. So I started my own chocolate business, which became very successful. We supplied booths, I supplied restaurants and bars in Manchester. I opened up my own cafe with the profits of that. I bought myself a car with the profits of my own business. Very proud of it. And then I lost all
Yeah.
three
Oh
in the
no.
space of the same month. Um, and I'd also been told, due to the endometriosis, I was quarter of the way through IVF, and then I was told you have to stop this because if you get pregnant, you'll rip yourself apart.
Oh
So
no.
that was all in August 2016, and I just wanted to go, just wanted to end it,
Yeah.
and kind of planned it. My husband was working away. Uh, I um, I I'm still on quite a lot of medication now. I was on more then. And because of I used to take 20 tablets a day.
Yeah.
And when you have to take so many in one go, you learn how to neck them. So
Yeah.
even now I can take 10 tablets in one go. It's not, it's not a party trick. It's the worst part, it's the darkest party trick ever. But yeah, but I could do that. So I thought, right, my husband's working away. I live quite far away from my family. Nobody's checking in on me anyway.
Mm.
I felt utterly, utterly pointless as a woman, bizarrely. And
Yeah.
it's not even like I've ever had a huge want for kids, dogs,
Okay.
yeah, kids, nah. But I think having it taken away from me, it was like, right, so you're not even, you can't be a proper woman, you can't be a proper wife.
Right.
And I just felt, well, that's the only reason you're here, surely. That's the only reason you exist as a woman is to procreate.
Mm.
Your mind tells you. I call it
Yeah.
the voice is called dickhead.
Ah, okay. You've
Mind
given it voice.
Yeah. And it gets very loud sometimes. But this one night I decided to do something about it. And I was stood in front of my dressing table and I just emptied my Dosset boxes into my hand and I took about two handfuls
Yeah.
and as I'm taking a swig of water, I catch my dogs looking at me
Oh,
and I just thought, shit, I've got to get up for you. I've got to get up in the morning for you.
yeah.
You're why I have to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
And
They're your kids.
they were the reason I had to get up. I
Yeah.
thought I had no reason that I had to get up in the morning. It was as black and white as that. I was a worry to everyone. In my head, I completely made sense of yes, people will be upset once, but then I won't be a worry as I am all the time now.
Yeah.
And I won't be moaning to everyone all the time now. So for me, it made perfect sense to I'll just go. I'll go. It'll, rip the band-aid off, I'll go. But catching my dog's eyes, proper just looking at me under their
Yeah.
frames. It cut the thread, I call it.
Yeah.
It cut the thread. So my dogs are little lifesavers. But I think I was at the doctor's the morning after anyway,
Mm.
and I was in CBT therapy a couple of weeks after that.
Yeah.
Well, I like to say gaining my superpowers.
Fantastic.
Um, because my CBT therapist Kay was oh just yeah, say life saving. So going from that darkness and then from that I rebuilt my business and I had a chain of shops. And
Wow.
I was very proud of it again.
Hmm.
And and then and then my husband decided to have an affair in October. Well, the affair wasn't in October. The affair was God knows how long.
Yeah.
Um, but I found out in October, and as a chocolatier, that that's a really bad time. That sounds really like shallow, doesn't it? But I was the one bringing in the money,
Yeah.
uh, so it was like, right, well, I need to leave you, but I need to fix my business for Christmas.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2018 was another one. And I moved in with my parents. I'm still there, to be honest. I'm still with them. Um, but the thing is with endometriosis, it does keep coming back. So you kind of have uh, every time you have an operation, I kind of have about 5 years of feeling okay.
Yeah.
So my 5 years of feeling okay um, sort of came to an end in 2022,
Okay.
uh, where I just started hemorrhaging, and
Oh God.
I was in the middle of a children's party, which is not the time
Oh.
for that kind of horror show. But yeah, so I was in the middle of a children's party, and I thought I was just hot and
Oh
sweaty.
no.
But yeah, it was the beginning of the adenomyosis, which is where growths happen within the muscle wall of the uterus. So it had started growing to the size of a sort of a 4-month-old baby.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was told I had to have surgery. I then thought that was going to be in a couple of months. So I thought, right, well, I'll close the shop down because I'll leave it on a really good high.
Mm.
The reputation of the business was fantastic in our local town. I turned it more into a lifestyle business. I've got rid of 2 of the shops. We only had 1 shop left, and I loved it. I loved it. So I thought, right, we'll close the shop as if when I come back in a few months, say 10 months, I'll pick it back up again. But the operation, that was that was January 2022. June 2022, I closed the shop thinking I'd be back by Christmas.
Yeah.
And I had the operation in April this year.
No.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I'd saved about 10 grand because I thought, right, I need to know that I can be off and I can just not have to worry.
Yeah.
Um, my nephew was working for me and he was about to go to university, so it just made sense, right? We'll close it down. But I didn't account for two years
No.
uh, with no income at all. So I ended up on benefits last October, which is the most humbling thing I've ever done because I've always found a way. I've been eating cereal for tea and, coppering up and selling whatever I could get my hands on out of my house to pay the bills. I've
Yeah.
always found a way. This time I couldn't. And I was lucky enough to be living with my parents anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, going on benefits, £380 a month I got. And
Wow.
I'd been earning about 7 grand a month with the shop. So yeah.
Wow.
Um but and then I went on PIP because the endometriosis just got so bad. Um, and that, oh my God, I don't know if you know anyone who's had to go through the PIP process, but
Um, well, I've heard it's absolutely atrocious because, well, for many, many reasons.
I have, I mean, I'm an educated woman. I've got degrees and, whatever, but oh, the way that that woman spoke to me was absolutely disgusting. And I
Yeah.
wrote a letter of complaint afterwards because you have to go through your mental health and everything. And
Hmm.
I told her about the night that I'd wanted to, commit suicide. And she said, "And have you felt like that again recently?" I said, "To be honest, yeah, I've felt like that probably about a week ago. I thought I had very scary thoughts, but and then straight away, without like a hit, so can you chop a vegetable?" And I was already hysterical
Wow.
because I was telling her how I'd
Yeah.
been very very dark place, and then but can you chop a vegetable? I was like, what?
Yeah. It's just no
And she
care
said,
at
can you chop
all.
a vegetable? I said, what? I don't understand why you're asking me that. Are you refusing the question? Like, no, I don't. I just don't know why you're asking. What? I said, I've just told you that I was practically suicidal last week. What? I don't know why you're asking me this question. so you can't chop a vegetable. I said,
Oh my
well, I
gosh.
have arms, so you can chop a vegetable. I said, well, I think so, but why would I be chopping a vegetable if I'm unable to get out of bed? But you can chop a vegetable. I was like, oh,
Really? Wow, that's awful.
it was awful. And then I got the report through, and she put that I refused to answer the question.
Oh, wow.
So, and there were a couple of those, like, how many minutes does it take you to get to the bathroom? And I said, well, on my worst day, I have to be carried. And she said, and have you ever timed that?
Gosh,
I was
that's
like, no, I haven't timed it. Well, can you guess? I was like, I, I don't know. I said,
yeah.
the toilet is a couple of doors down from where my bedroom is. So if I have to be carried that short distance, then it's not good. So you're refusing the question. I was like,
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know. I said, I
Where's
can't,
the
I'm not making
empathy?
something up. So you're refusing the question. It was awful, honestly. And I'm, like I say, I like to think that my CBT therapy's done quite well for me, but God help somebody else
That's
who's really
just
struggling.
awful. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wasn't in a great place after that. But yeah, so that was last year. And like I say, I did go through another time when I had to get rid of everything that I'd bought, everything that I owned for the chocolate business. I had to sell what I couldn't sell. I had to get rid of because I couldn't afford the storage anymore.
Yeah.
So I remember the day driving back from waste management, just tipping everything into
Oh
the back of
gosh.
the. I remember driving back from there, and a car pulled out, and I didn't brake. I didn't speed up, but I didn't brake, and I just thought, whatever. And that scared me. So I
Yeah.
drove straight to my sister and told her, and she said, "Right, but you're telling me, so it's okay, isn't it?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, yeah. It's if it's out my mouth, it's not going to happen. It's when I go quiet. That's when
Yeah.
it's time to be scary."
But
But I
was
do
that
think,
you telling yourself that, or was that actually how you felt?
what do you mean? You
So
mean
when you said that your sister had said to you that, "You're telling me so it's okay," and then you said, "Yeah, okay, because I'm telling you, that means it's okay."
yes?
Was it actually okay?
No, I wasn't, but I knew I wasn't going to do anything.
Ah, okay, right.
I knew I wasn't going to do anything stupid, so I did go to the doctors and I just spoke to them.
Yeah.
My GP was absolutely amazing because I sat down and he said, "What?" It wasn't even my GP. He said, "What can we do for you today?" And I just said, "I don't know."
Oh,
I said, "I don't know, but I don't feel right. My head's." I said, "It's exhausting battling this feeling that I just want to stop."
yeah.
And he said, "Do you think you're suicidal?" And I said, "Well, I don't think I'll do anything, but I just want to stop. I want it to stop. I want a
Yeah.
break from my head." And he just talked to me. He cancelled. Well, the person after me won't have been very happy because he knocked it on, gave me a double appointment.
Yeah.
But I just felt better for talking about it because I
Yeah.
think this is exactly what I'm doing now. I
Being
am
heard.
I'm talking about it, and I know it sounds a bit obvious, but just words coming out of my mouth rather than
Mm.
me saying it in my head is helpful. And if
Yeah.
anybody else who's gone, like, the whole reason of what you're doing is to get to your listeners, to get to people with other people's stories, see
Yeah.
how other people have handled things or going through things, to know you're not on your own. That is
Yeah.
literally what's helped me in the last 10 years, is hearing the little nuggets of other people, or the
Mm.
little sayings that other people have had, that have just made me have that little different perception on something, bit different perspective, that has made me be able to find joy. And if I can do that by sharing my story, if somebody else can think, oh, right, well, I could try thinking like that.
Mhm.
I'm going to say that to myself. Because
Yeah.
I've forgotten her name now, but she says, let them, when somebody's annoying you, when somebody's cutting you up in traffic, or when
Yeah.
somebody's just doing something that I've told them so many times,
Yeah.
that let them, just let them.
I stay by that mantra as well.
Yeah.
Just let them, because it's easier to let that go than to hold on to it.
Yes. And why are you holding on to it?
Exactly.
Who are you helping? They're
For
not
what
bothered.
purpose?
They're
Exactly
not-
that. They're not. And if it was somebody who genuinely cared, they wouldn't be doing it in the first place.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's all that what you can change, what you can't change, get over and get on with, you know.
Yeah.
It's but yeah, that let them every now and then I've got to remember. Even like I say, somebody cuts you up in traffic and you could be like, oh, that's really no whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm behind you now, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so I've got to like this ripe old age, whereas I can now let them. I can just get over it. Whereas I'm not sure about yourself. Whereas when I was in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, I probably couldn't let them.
Yeah. And not only couldn't let them, didn't want to. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So you'd get into a gaggle of friends and
yeah,
you'd all feed each other's annoyance by
absolutely.
saying, "Oh, did you see that? Yeah. Oh, did you see that? Yeah, weren't that annoying? I can't believe she's done that, and she did
Yeah,
that and that and that." And you feed each other's annoyance.
yeah.
So it's almost like you want to be annoyed, and it's
And
why?
yeah, and it's kind of almost like, I guess that's it. As we get older, we're more kind of, we're not in that close group with a lot of other people.
Well,
Because
not with people who I've definitely found my tribe, you
yeah,
know, and that's literally in the last 3 years.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm 46, but I've just found my tribe where
And
I
I
can
think
be myself, talk exactly how I want to talk. I am a
yeah,
bit sweary, but I can absolutely be myself 100%.
and you're accepted, and that's what's amazing, isn't it? Is I think I wish I could have been this laid back in my 20s and 30s bec because it would have just made life so much easier.
Oh, yeah. But then I don't know whether or not I'd be this confident now. You know, it's even
Yeah.
little things like this haircut. This haircut's very new.
I
This
love that
haircut's like
haircut.
last month. I used to have quite long hair, but I've always wanted this hair.
Ah, okay.
So I was just like, just do it. It'll grow back. I mean, they did cut it a little bit too short. This is 8 weeks of growth, to be honest.
Ah, okay.
So they did cut it very short. Um, but uh, but again, the only people I showed the photograph to of where it was really short was my tribe, was my
Yeah.
friends that I've got now. Because like I knew they wouldn't show it around, but I said, "So this is the haircut, and my face is like this." But it's really short. And it was sort of so you can see that there.
Yeah.
That was shaved all the way up to the top,
Oh,
like
wow.
you know, like when you see films of World War I, and they've
Yeah,
just got it shaved up to the top, and they've got a tiny bit of hair at the front.
yeah. Was that you? Did you look like you'd just signed up?
Definitely, definitely. And I'm 4'8". I was 4'9". They took an inch off me last month. Um, but but I'm only 4'8", so I need
I
big
love
hair.
it.
Thank you. I love it now. And
Mm,
like clothes, the clothes I wear, I love baggy clothes,
mm,
but they make me look short. But I'm not bothered.
exactly. Who cares? Just
Yeah,
just rock up, be you, and your tribe will accept you.
yeah. But like you say, there's no way I would have had the confidence to just go for exactly what I wanted in my
Yeah,
20s or even in my 30s, a little bit in my 30s. But no, not like now. Not like now. I mean, like I say, I'm 46. I am in the middle of a divorce, which has been 5 years in the making.
wow.
Ridiculous. I am, I've just had a hysterectomy. I'm in my fourth menopause, final menopause, my fourth menopause.
Wow.
I've lost my business. I have, I'm on benefits still. So I'm still unemployed, living with my parents. My dogs are 10 years old now. My dad's just come out of hospital. He's 18. I'm proper daddy's girl. But I'm happy. I'm
Yeah,
happy. I've got a tiny little studio in Barrowford where I do my artwork, um, which my superhero dad has paid for. Um, and I go there and I call it pissing about with paint. That's what I do.
But that's
Mm.
fantastic, isn't it? That's obviously your space.
Yeah, yeah, because I am back at home. I have
Mm,
my old room. Well, I have my old mum and dad's room actually, but I'm like I said, I'm used to having a house.
yeah.
I had a three-bedroom house with garden front of. I mean, I'm now still in a three-bedroom house, but it's not mine. I have a room. So yeah, that space is really important. And also, like I say, this collaboration that we're doing,
Mm,
things like that, I don't think I'd have had the confidence to do because I remember the first time I wrote my book when 20 years ago, I didn't tell anyone until I'd signed with Bloomsbury because I just knew they'd be like, "What? As if? As if
I
you're gonna
know
write my
it.
book?" I just
Mm,
knew. So, whereas now, and Mandy, who's
yeah.
our leader,
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
the main author on this book, she's given us all the confidence as well to go shout about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's so amazing, isn't it? Is that I mean, my story is like something that I've never told my friends, and I've literally only recently
Mm.
put it out there on Facebook and completely owned it. So,
Really?
yeah. So there I was writing a chapter in a book thinking, "Yeah, I'm just gonna tell the world, who cares?" Then thinking, "You've not even told your best mate this, Claire."
I
Do you know?
know. I
Um,
know.
but how
Wow.
weird is it to think that it's easier to tell the world than it is to tell your closest friends. That it
Because
was
we know it's going to hurt them to know how hurt we've been.
yeah. Yeah, I hadn't
Um,
thought about it that way.
and it's and I haven't told my mum. In fact, I've told my mum and dad they might not want to read it
Okay.
because they don't know. They don't know that they know that I've been in a dark place. They don't know the details of it, and I'm not sure whether or not that's helpful for my mum to see.
Yeah.
Um, I'm my dad. I don't know. My sister knows. My sister's one of my best friends.
Mm.
She's the one that I do go to, and I say,
Yeah.
"Scary moment. Was about to do something stupid, but I'm not now because I'm coming telling you."
Oh,
So,
that's brilliant that you can do that.
yeah, you've got to, and now, like I say, this group of women and men that I've met, people think it's a cult. It's very much not a cult. It's just an amazing group of business owners who just want to help each other. It's not, and that was a massive turning point in my life is meeting this group. They are business owners, but
Mm.
the business owners that look like you and me. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
brilliant. Yeah.
They're not in the suits. They're not in the pinstripe. They're not in power suits. They're not, arrogant. They're ordinary people who want to make a difference in the world, and they've gone out on their own to try and do it. And we
Fantastic.
just love talking about business. It's a bit geeky, talking about business and helping each other fix those problems. But half the time, we just sit around chatting, and because we're business owners, you've got to find the right people to have the
Yeah.
right conversations with. So, like you've just said, you couldn't tell your best friend about something incredibly difficult you'd gone through, but you could tell somebody.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. You just have to have somebody to be able to get that out because it has to come out. It cannot
Yeah.
stay in your head. The more I talk about it, and I've done a couple of speaking things now with women's groups, the
Mm.
more I talk about it, the more um, matter of fact I can talk about it,
Yeah.
and like I don't cry about it
Mhm.
uh, when I do talk about it, which is what I want to get to.
Yeah.
I did last Tuesday. Every time I'd practiced it, I hadn't cried, and then when I did it in front of this group of women, I could feel the tears coming. I was like, "Oh,
Oh, yeah.
a bit emotional." But yeah, I didn't want to get emotional about it because it's like I said, it's a scar
Yeah.
in my past that every now and then gets a bit itchy.
And I think that's a lovely way of looking at it, is that it's a scar, it gets itchy. It reminds you of how far you've travelled. It's like putting pins in maps, isn't it? It's like, I've been there, I've been there, I've been there. I might like to go back there, definitely not going there.
That is so good. Yeah, it is. You visited it. It
Yeah.
was awful,
Mm.
and you don't want to go back there, even
Yeah.
if you have to drive through it. Sometimes you're not stopping.
Absolutely. And that's really weird, you know. So talking back to the village that we mentioned earlier, is I drove through that village with Jen, my partner, last week, and it took me up until from leaving that village, it took me 2 years before I could drive through that village again because I was going through so much turmoil, and the only way I could drive through it again was in a rental car. So they didn't know it was my car,
Oh my
and
God.
I rang a friend at the start of the village and said to them, "I'm just letting you know I'm just gonna drive through this particular village. Um, I'll ring I if I ring you in the next 10 minutes, you need to be getting to me."
Come and get me.
Yeah. And then and so when I got out of the other end, I rang them and said, "I'm out now, it's fine, don't panic." But
Did
I
they
knew I
cheer? They're like, yeah.
yeah, but I knew I had to do that. It was awful, awful. But like you say, sometimes you have to drive through things, and I
Yeah.
physically did. Went through it last week with my partner in my partner's car. So again, it was a different car, but hey, we
Right.
are
So
however many.
still, it's still quite traumatic for you, is it? Driving through the village. You're quite well
Yeah,
known in the village.
I used to be the village Bobby, so very well known.
Oh.
Yeah. And we're kinda going off onto me, but I
I
came out as
no,
being
then
gay.
I
Yeah,
that
and do you
stuff
know
for
what?
those.
I am, to be fair, because we're just having a chat about
Yeah.
life. Um, I came out as being gay in that village. Well, I didn't so much come out to them as my ex-husband told the world. Yeah, 'cause he's that kinda man.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah.
and then a car pulled up and they tried to put my windows through at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, so you can understand why I didn't really wanna be in that village
But
anymore.
this is in 2000 and what?
So
20?
no, that would have been in around about how old was my son? That would have been about 2003.
But still,
Yeah,
in the wow. It's amazing, isn't it, that the pretense that everybody is welcoming and everybody is
yeah,
very PC,
mhm,
and they literally just pay lip service to it, that's all.
absolutely.
Don't pay lip service to it, live it,
Yeah,
because if you just pay lip service to it, you might as well just say the things that you mean, and I'd probably rather that
yeah,
than pretend that you're
yeah,
alright and try and put me in some false sense of security that it's gonna be alright, and meanwhile, behind the scenes, you're doing that.
yeah. But do you know
Wow.
who it was? It was the a group of local teenage boys that were the people that turned up to throw the bricks at the house. And I get
Did
and
they
an
know you
absolute
though? Did they know you? Did they
I was
had
just
you
the village
dealt with them
bunny.
as a police officer?
Yeah, I had dealt with them. They weren't like the nice kids of the village, obviously. But do you know what I mean? It's like you would have thought the younger generation would have been more accepting.
It's well, unfortunately, this is what I mean by there's this pretense that nowadays there's obviously a lot more tolerance, which is just a
Yeah,
disgusting word to have to use anyway. Oh,
yeah,
you tolerate me, thank you.
yeah.
Um,
Mm,
but the reality is that inbred discrimination is
mm,
still rife. And,
absolutely.
well, God, I was 2003, so I'm half Asian, and I was a teacher, and one of my year 9 lads was at the other end of and I just taught him. We got on quite well, but he was with some other lads, and he
Yeah.
just starts singing, "We're going pecky bashing"
Oh,
at me. I'm like, "What? What? I've literally just taught you. We've had
yeah,
a lovely conversation," and they're
yeah.
like 13, 14. I'm like,
It's
"My God."
disgusting, isn't it?
So that's come from home. It has to have come from home. He has to have heard that from adults.
Yeah.
So that's that generation buggered
Mm,
because that's been inbuilt there. So I could just imagine that happening in so many households.
yeah,
And it must just be the ones who educate themselves and have a purer soul, I think, because I
Yeah.
think some people are just evil. Some
Mhm.
people are just lovely, no matter what backgrounds they've got. And we just have to hope that those voices will start to get louder and louder.
Yeah.
And but you can't change people's thoughts, but you can change people's behavior.
Absolutely. And that's kind of like what I try to do in not that I try to do, but try to help people do in my business is change those behaviors, of if that's a negative behavior, then let's move forward. What positive do you want? And like you said at the very, very start, is that you now look to get the positive out of the negative things that have
Yeah,
happened.
yeah. Because
And that,
what's the other choice? What's the option?
yeah, absolutely. It's a life of misery, isn't it?
Yeah. But it must be so difficult for you though, living in such a small village, that it's easier said than done, isn't it? To be like, well, sod them, not gonna let them get to me. It's easier said than done when you're faced with it. 'Cause
Absolutely.
every day you walk out your door, like you say, going to your own local shop to get milk becomes a horror show. And it's just
Particularly when that's your job, like you said, being a teacher, you've still got to do your job, but you're faced with the discrimination. It's like,
yeah,
how am I supposed to do that?
yeah,
That
yeah.
would
I mean, so I was teaching in Oldham when the Oldham riots were on.
oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I actually kept my ethnicity quite quiet,
Yeah,
because I knew that it would be the school. It was Failsworth School, so one side was rich, big
yeah,
houses, another side was council estate, and on either side we had both categories of nice and horrific children
yeah,
and parents. But the riots were going on, so I made a decision that I wasn't going to be very open about who I was.
yeah,
Well, you can imagine because
yeah.
literally how you lived your life. Um, I can't believe I allowed myself to do that. How crazy is that? You
Well, it's
know,
almost like that well, it is, not almost. It's self-preservation, isn't it?
it is, it is, and it is like easier said than done because somebody else would say, like I'd say to anybody, "Oh, sod them, be yourself."
Yeah,
Well, that's easier said than done. It's like dealing with a bully. Well, stand up to them. Well, that's not always the easiest thing to do. It's yeah, it's easier on the outside, and I know you deal with domestic abuse as well, and that's something I've experienced, and again, somebody from the outside can very pragmatically and
yeah.
logistically,
Tell you how.
logically say, just get out,
Yeah.
just get out. So I imagine, did you have quite a few friends telling you to, well, just go out, don't bother about them?
No, to be fair, I think at the time, I think, well, I think I just isolated myself from everybody because then it isn't just about what's going on in the village, it's what's going on up here.
Mm,
And then it was like complete isolation. So I don't know what you do when your mental health is bad, but for me, I isolate myself.
yeah.
I take myself completely away. I become quiet. And like
That's
you
the
said,
dangerous point, though.
that's the
That
dangerous time.
Yeah. It's not these people that are shouting out saying, "I'm going to kill myself," or
Yeah,
messaging you saying, I think I'm going to top myself." They're not the ones who are going to do it.
yeah,
The ones who are probably more likely to do something daft are the ones that have retreated, like you say.
yeah,
They've taken themselves away from all situations to do
yeah,
with other people, and they've retreated.
yeah,
They're the ones to check on. They're the
yeah,
ones to really, pester with,
yeah,
and you're right, because you need to interrupt that thread, because it's easier to step down into the darkness, isn't it, than
absolutely.
step up into the
Mm,
light. It's always easier to walk downhill than uphill.
exactly. And that is the scary thing of, like you said, you have people who will come to you with their opinion of, well, just do this. Well, you're not living it.
No,
You're not living my life. And so you do go further down into that darkness, into that hole of, right, well, I'll get away from them because I don't need that. And it isn't helpful.
no. Sometimes you just, I love Simon Sinek as well. I don't know whether you've heard of
Not
Simon
heard of
Sinek.
him.
Oh, he's, I have a bit of a girl crush on him. Um, But he's somebody who just likes to inspire others to do the things they're inspired to do. That's what he says. And he says something where sometimes people just want you to sit in the mud with them.
Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes they don't need a hand up. They just want you to sit there in the mud with them and moan about how muddy it is.
I love that.
Isn't that great?
It's true though, isn't it?
Because sometimes it's like, do you need a hug or do you need help?
Yeah,
Because they're two very different things. And if you are in tune with, and or maybe if you've gone through it yourself, you are a little bit more in tune with it, then you can recognize the time when somebody just doesn't need you telling them what to do. And they just need to say, I can't believe you're going through that. I am so sorry.
yeah,
So we just
absolutely.
sit and have a brew.
Yeah, yeah. And that is, words are helpful, but sometimes the silence is more impactful, like you say, the arms around you, that being held, um, yeah, is so much of what that person wants whilst they are dealing with it themselves in their own mind, that you're
Yeah.
at least there, whether you've got physical contact with them or you're just sitting in, like you've just said, the mud. I love
Yeah.
that.
You know, and it's brilliant. I just, it was
Oh,
on a TikTok because I do follow him. I'm not obsessed, but I do follow him.
of course not. Have you
But,
got posters in that room? I'm sure I can see a poster of him at the back.
might be Gary Barlow. But my room used to be filled with Gary Barlow. But yeah, but find him on TikTok if you can, or even on Facebook, Simon Sinek, because he has these nuggets which are just that is exactly how everybody should be.
Yeah,
But it's definitely, and like I say, the group, the people that I hang about with now in the business thing, the whole point of what we do is somebody comes with a problem,
mm,
we are not allowed to tell them how to fix it
okay,
until we have asked questions. So
right,
somebody comes with a problem and you have to ask questions. So how did things like what have you tried? Have you tried that? Have you done this? How did that make you feel? And that's sometimes just a way to get somebody's mind away from the depth of mud they're in. Do you know
yes,
what I mean? So
yeah,
it's just engaging the brain in thinking about the situation, not thinking about fixing it,
yeah,
just thinking about the situation. So I love that.
right,
I love that sort of way. And as an English teacher, you do that anyway as part of active listening and directional questioning,
mm,
um, where it should be somebody comes to you with a problem.
mhm,
Don't just tell them what to do because you don't know what they've already done.
exactly,
You don't
yeah,
know what solution's going to fix them. You don't know what solution they need.
yeah,
Don't just think, "Oh, I'll do that," because
yeah.
that's quite terrible.
Exactly. And then it can become so infuriating when they're saying, do this, do that. And you think, I've done all of that. And every time I keep saying to you, I've done it, then you give me something else that I've done.
Yeah.
And now I just feel like you're just, I don't know, picking at me.
Yes.
You say, ask me the questions, I'll tell you what I've done, and then give me a
Yeah.
better answer.
Or no, or it's okay if you don't know what to say.
Yeah,
It's absolutely okay if you don't know how to fix it. It
yeah.
is fine. I mean, when somebody loses a parent or when somebody
Mm,
loses their partner, what on earth do you think you can say
yeah.
to make that situation better? You
But there's
nothing, and
nothing.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Just sit in the bloody mud with him.
And that's it. At times like that, how many times do we hear that people don't go near you because they don't know what to say? And
Yeah,
it's like, well, you're not expected to say anything, just be there.
yeah,
Turn up and say, I don't know what to say.
yeah. And that's the as helpful as you can be. It's
Yeah.
just be there. Be normal with me, please. Just
Yeah.
be normal. Let's have a cup of tea and be normal. Let's talk about some shit or let's just watch some crap on telly and just
Yeah.
sit with me. And like you say, people do, they steer clear, don't they?
Yeah.
You do. No, it's God, we're complicated humans, aren't we?
We absolutely are. We are.
But if
But then, sorry, go on.
no, I think I was about to agree with you about whatever you were about to say. It we are, but if you are giving time to that person, it's not actually that. complicated, is it, to figure
No,
it
it's
out?
not. And I was about to say we are complicated, but look how amazing we are because our body tells us time after time that we need things before we even know we need it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
I call it Stop, Look and Listen. Do you remember that program?
yeah, I do, yeah. God, it's
But
showing
I
our
call it,
age.
oh, I know. I know I put it out on LinkedIn a while ago, and some of my friends are like, "Let's start." I was like, "Start off, you were born in too late." Um, but so I call it Stop, Look and Listen. If you stop what you're doing, get
Yeah,
off the bloody hamster wheel. And when people say, "Oh, I haven't got time," I tell you now, there will be a time in 2 weeks that you categorically know you can take an afternoon off or a
yeah,
morning off or 2 hours, whatever. You know, in 2 weeks there'll be a time you can do that. So book that out. Don't touch it, and just stop. Go somewhere where it's quiet. Go sit in a chair somewhere. Go and have a coffee, whatever, and just look at where you are, what you're doing, what you want to do, and listen to your gut, listen to your heart.
yeah.
Because again, this is a Simon Sinek thing where he goes into the biology of what the gut is, and it's not your gut; it's part of the it's part of the brain anyway.
Yes, it's it's there's three brains, isn't there?
Yes,
Your head brain, your heart brain, and your gut brain.
yeah, and he says that part of the brain is where all decisions are made, but it has no power of communication.
Mm,
So that part of the brain is where the true decision is made in your gut, but the part of the brain that actually acts on the decision is the part that wants instant gratification.
ah, so
So that's listening to your gut. Listen to your gut
yeah.
because it's right.
Well, I'm an MBIT coach, and that is what that's all about. So it's your three
Oh,
brains. It's your head brain, your gut brain, and your heart brain. I was trained in it probably last year. I've not
I love
used
all that stuff.
pardon?
I love all that stuff. I think it's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
And it's about talking to the different brains and seeing what they need. And I think your gut brain is about your identity.
Yeah,
So you know when you're doing something and suddenly you have this feeling in your gut and it's like, oh, I don't like that. Then that's around what is going on for you in your identity wise.
ah,
There's other reasons as well, but it's mainly about how it makes you personally feel.
that makes so much sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Feel it in your gut.
I wonder if that's why when we get older, we listen to our gut a bit more because we
Mm.
know our identity a bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and our values. I mean, I'm a stickler for values.
Yeah.
I think that's why I was drawn to you with your thing because I think values are a big thing.
Absolutely.
I think if you share values with somebody, you're kind of drawn to them.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, and that's kind of how I like to choose to spend my time now is with people who share my values. I don't like
Yeah.
having to pretend that I want to spend time with somebody anymore.
And that's again boundaries so important. And I think before we started talking, I was telling you about how I'd bought my podcasting mic in January because I'm going to
Yeah,
do podcasting, and then I put it away. What I also decided at New Year was boundaries. That is my word of the year, and I love boundaries now. I'm just popping out boundaries left, right, and centre. It
I
makes
think
life so much easier.
so. When you put your first boundary in, did you find that the response wasn't as negative as you thought it was going to be? So that's why you came up with more boundaries.
No, so I put the boundaries in, and the boundaries have been the people don't like the boundaries,
Ah.
but that speaks volumes.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, because if you don't like the boundaries, you're not my person.
Exactly that, exactly that, and
It
it's
whittles them out, doesn't it?
yeah,
Whittles out the bad ones.
yeah, and it's saying, "I don't want that, I don't like that, I'm not having it, I'm not prepared to," and they kind of push back on it because that's how they are.
Yeah,
So they still want to be close to you or near to you, but they don't know how to, like you've said, actually change that or be not make it as difficult,
yeah,
and I'm the problem. Well, I'm alright with that.
exactly. And why is it that we only realise that when we get older?
Exactly. I hate that. It's like, why couldn't you have taught me this when I was 20?
I do try telling my nephew's 21 and the other one's about to be 18, and my stepdaughter is 22
Yeah,
this week. And they all have really good heads on their shoulder, and I do constantly tell them. I mean, I've been my stepdaughter's stepmom since she was 5,
yeah.
and her mum's an amazing, strong woman as well.
Mhm.
So she's got a really good head on her shoulders. And
Yeah.
I remember when she was being bullied at school for high school, and she just said, "Not bothered, not bothered. They're obviously just not very nice people. I'll
Oh,
just stay with the people that I find nice." I was like, "Oh my God,
yeah, how
what went through
fantastic.
an amazingly healthy human." She did go through a bit of a blip, to be honest, when she was 18, 19. It was a very dark time, but
Mm,
that was her dad. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, there's hope in the future generation, I think.
absolutely.
I think that I'm blowing smoke up my own ass, but when there's people like us around, and my sister and
Mm,
my stepdaughter's mum, when there's women like that around, especially, because that's who I think children listen to more.
yes,
When they're younger, they possibly look at what their dad's doing, but they actually respect their mums a lot
the
more.
mum. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And because I think they can see themselves in their mum, or they can see what mum's been through.
That's exactly what's happened. That is exactly what's happened, especially with my nephews. They've
Mm,
um they've 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 just realised, and because she's given them the space to
mm,
realise, she's not pressed it on them. She's just given them unconditional love. She's given them utter support. They've got an amazing network of support around them. And because of that, they've come to the realization themselves, in which case they believe it.
yeah,
Not somebody's told them this has happened and like, yeah, whatever. They actually completely believe it with their heart, and it's just made more of a stronger um a stronger relationship. Same with
yeah.
my stepdaughter. I've not been with her dad for, gosh, 6 years now, and we're still incredibly close.
That's
You know,
lovely. That
yeah,
is so
she's a
nice.
beautiful creature. She's a beautiful
Yeah.
creature.
I feel like we've absolutely got a second part to this podcast.
Yeah, Janet. What? Oh my God, it's 11 o'clock. Oh my God, I was meant to be somewhere at 11.
Oh, sorry, I'm holding you back. Right, well,
No, I've had such a lovely time. Honestly, I could chun her away.
I
Sorry.
have as well. No, don't be apologising because we've talked about the strength that you've had to get through. In fact, we've talked about both of our strengths. It's been a really nice chat
Thank
about
you.
life. So
Yeah.
I would love it if you'd come back and be a guest again, just to say, right, that's what I went through. This is how the resilience that I've shown and where. Would you do that?
Oh yeah, lovely. And I think because we are quite close, we can rendezvous
Yeah,
maybe.
absolutely. That'd be fab. We can have that coffee. It might be a silent podcast and just know we sat together having a brew.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
That's
you
good
so
watching.
very much, Lucy. It's
Oh,
been an
thank you,
absolute
Claire.
pleasure.
It's been absolutely brilliant talking to you. I love it. And if I could do this more,
Yeah.
I've no idea how to do that, but I love it.
Well,
Absolutely
we'll
love
do a
it.
podcast. We'll do the next one and I'll show you how to do it.
Brilliant. Thank you very
Easy.
much. Oh,
Thank
lovely to
you.
chat with you, and I will see you soon.
You will do. Thank you.
See you.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed listening to the episode and learned some tips on how to manage your emotions in a healthy way. If you've been affected by anything in the podcast, or if you want to share your feedback or questions, please email clare@angermanagementcoach.co.uk. Thank you for listening, and do remember, you have the power to calm your emotions and communicate effectively.